Okay, so if you're able to print, you have a copy of this paper ready to go for your math notebook. If you weren't able to print, once we get to that page number, I'll open it up and you can see what I want you to put on your paper. Basically, if you can't print this, I just want you to make sure the title's on your paper. You separate your paper in half and have example 1 at the top and example 2 at the bottom. I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. So in our notebook on page 48, we are going to write divide whole, the pound sign for number. Oops, you can't see it. It's all the way down here at the bottom. Divide whole number by fraction. And this is on page 48. So on page 48, if you are not able to print these notes, you can pause the video and make sure that your notebook is set up this way as well. And then unpause it when you're ready. If you are able to print the notes, then you're going to cut them down to fit, and we're going to get them glued into our notebook. So one more time, that's what it looks like if you weren't able to print. This is what we're going to do if you could print. Put that down into your book. I'm going to give this, the number for today is number 48. Okay, so before we start reading these word problems, and we're really going to start with practicing dividing a whole number by a fraction from a word problem. The reason for that is I really want you guys to learn to listen for what item is being divided or separated. When you are dividing another number into fractional parts, there's several different words that you can hear or see in the word problem. They're going to tell you that you're going to be dividing that up. Okay, so here are a few words to listen for today when you're doing your practice. If you hear the word divide, yes, that means you're going to be dividing that amount. Cut, that means you're going to be cutting it up. Split, that's the same thing as divide. Shared, if it's shared with somebody into fractional parts, that's going to be division. When you're sharing a whole number into fractional parts, they're already going to be equal. If they used part of that, if they separate it into individual sizes or packages of some kind, or if they section it off. All of these words here are going to mean that you're dividing in this word problem. Okay? And that's very important to remember those key words for division. So I'm going to get this a little closer here because we're going to start with a word problem today, and then I'll show you just a few without a word problem. Okay. So when I read this word problem, I want you to listen for what Lily's doing, and I want you to listen for the key word that tells us that she's dividing something up. Okay. So Lily has 3 yards of fabric. She wants to cut 3 pieces that are 1/4 of a yard long. How many pieces can she cut? Well, Lily has how much fabric? 3. And anytime that they give me a word in the problem in word form, I go ahead and change it to a numeric or standard form so my brain sees it and doesn't forget it. And what is Lily doing to this 3 yards? That's right. She's cutting it. So what is being divided here? The yards of fabric. What number is attached to the yards of fabric? How much fabric does she have? 3. So far we know that she has 3 yards of fabric, and because she's cutting it, and this is what's being divided, the 3 yards of fabric is being divided into how many smaller pieces? 1/4. So she's taking 3 whole yards and she's separating it out and cutting it up into smaller pieces. So let's do a picture to see what this looks like. Okay, so let's start with drawing a line to represent those 3 yards of fabric. Okay, 3 yards. So let's think of it. Draw a line to represent the 3 yards. We would have, let's see, 0 would start here, and then we're going to separate it into, here would be 1 yard, 2 yards, and then 3 yards right there. And I guess we could think of it that we're drawing this fabric out on a number line, so let's think of it as a number line. Okay, so this represents 1 of those 3 yards, and this represents 2 of those 3 yards, and this represents 3. So that gets us a total of 3. She's cutting each this whole 3 yards of fabric into 1/4 pieces per yard. So let's go back and let's cut up this fabric into those 4 parts. So we have 1, 2, 3, and here's our 4th piece right here. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Here's our 4th piece right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And there's our 4th piece right here. So if we want to know what 3 divided by 1/4 is equal to, we can go back and count our pieces. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means that 3 being divided up into 1/4 parts, we're going to have 12 smaller pieces after we take that 3 yards and cut each yard into 1/4 parts. Okay. Another way to think about it, let's draw 3 whole pieces to represent each of these yards. So maybe this square represents 1 yard, right? And this square represents this yard right here. And this one represents this yard right here. So there's 3 whole pieces. There's 3 whole yards of fabric. She's cutting each one of these individual yards into 4 parts. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. So that'll give us 1, 2, 3. I have 4 smaller pieces now. I'm also going to cut up this yard as well into 4 more parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that gives us 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. I count that last 9. That gives us 4 pieces. And you can see when you take 3 whole yards of fabric and you cut it up into 1/4 parts, that means that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 total pieces. Another thing you could do is count in groups of 4. 4, 8, and then we can get to 12. Okay? Or another way to think about this is we can take the number of yards of fabric that we have and multiply them times the parts we're going to make with them. So 3 times 4 equals 12. Okay? All right, so let's look at another example here. Mrs. Jones brings 4 liters of juice to be served at a classroom party. She pours 1/5 of a liter into each glass. How many glasses of juice can be served for the party? So what's the total amount of juice that I have? I have 4 liters. And what am I doing with these 4 liters of juice? I'm pouring them into separate cups. Each one of those liters is going to be separated into 1/5 cups. So I can share it or split it or serve it at a class party. You see those 4 jugs. So let's draw 4 liters of juice, what it would look like. So I'm just going to do like I'm going to do a square, but I'm going to do the top like this on the side, and mine's going to have a pour spout right here. Have y'all seen that juice at the store? Yeah, it's a juice with a pour spot on the top. So this is 1 of those liters of juice. Okay, there's 1 of them, right? How many did I bring for the party? I brought 4 of them. So let's have all 4 of them there. I got 4 liters of juice at the party. There's my pour spout. I'm not very good drawing. Maybe y'all's would be better. I don't even know what I'm doing at the top. Let's just do the side and just see that pour spout right there. All right, so there's another liter, and I have 4 liters. I'm hoping I have enough. I have 20 kids in my class, so that's why I have to pour 1/5 into each cup so everybody gets juice, right? Okay, so there's my juice. Okay, now I'm going to go back and it says that I'm pouring 1/5 of each one of these liters into a glass. So really, what we should be thinking of is that we are going to have 4 whole liters being divided up into 1/5 parts, because I'm going to pour a little bit, about 1/5 of each one of these containers into a cup. Can y'all see that? Hopefully. So let's see how much I would have if I do that. If I take this first liter and I cut it up into 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do this one too. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bottom line makes 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. That makes 5. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. That makes 5. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts of each one of these liters are going into the cup. How many cups could I fill with these 4 liters of juice if they're being separated into 1/5 parts? I'm pouring a little in each cup. Well, let's count them and see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we could keep counting like this, but I think each one of these are arranged in a group of 5, so I can count by 5s as well. 5, 10, 15, 20. So it looks like 4 divided by 1/5 is going to be 20. And we can check it by taking our whole number and multiplying it times the denominator, because that 4 is being separated out into 5 more parts. So really it's just 4 times 5. So my model and my multiplication check work. Okay. All right, so let's flip to the back where we have extra paper, and I'm going to just do a couple more with those models and checking with multiplication. Tomorrow I'm going to come back and we're going to do the same thing, except for I'm going to introduce to you the division algorithm to check our work. The first thing, I really wanted to be sure that everybody understood the concept of what we're doing, how it works, and tomorrow we'll focus on more practicing with it, and I'll introduce the algorithm. So for example, let's model what it would look like if we had 6 holes. So that would be 6 whole pieces being separated in halves. How many new smaller pieces would we have? Okay, so let's say I had 6 whole sandwiches that I wanted to split in half so I could share them with friends for lunch at my house. Okay, so I had 6 whole sandwiches that I wanted to split in half to have smaller pieces. How many pieces would I have to serve for lunch if I did that? So let's go back and split each one of these sandwiches in half. 6 whole pieces. 1. And then we can count our pieces and see how many we have. So there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can number them all. So there's 12 pieces. You could count 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Or we think of it as this whole number times the denominator is a shortcut. 6 times 2 equals 12. So our model and the shortcut work. All right, let's try one more together to make sure you got it before you go off and do your practice. So we have 3 divided by 1/8. All right. So I'm going to start with my model by drawing 3 whole pieces. I'm going to make this a pizza. Okay, and I want to separate that pizza into 8 slices. That's actually the standard number of pizza slices that you get from a pizza place. I usually cut them in 8s. So I want to figure out if I had 3 whole pizzas and they were separated into 1/8 parts, into 1/8 pieces, how many pieces would I have total to serve? So I would come up here and the first thing I need to do is separate this first whole one of these 3 into 1/8. I'm going to do the same here. There's 4. Come back this way. Okay, and then I can go back and count my pizzas. I know there's 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8. Here's another group of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 and 8, 16. Here's another group of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that makes 24. 24 slices. So if you take 3 whole pizzas and you separate them into 1/8 pieces, you're going to have 24 slices. That's the way to think about it. A shortcut to check when you see 3 divided by 1/8 is just multiply this whole number times the denominator. So it'd be 3 times 8, and that's going to be 24. Every time you divide up a whole number, your answer is going to be a whole number. I want you to think about that. Every time you take something that is a whole number and you separate it into smaller parts, your answer is going to be a whole number because that whole number represents the new number of pieces that you have. And the visual here is this pizza. We had 3 whole pizzas and then we separated them into 1/8 slices and we got 24. Okay? All right. Good luck on your homework today. Your practice today. Homework. Anyways, see y'all tomorrow.